sure that students are taken care of after something like this occurs.
A sexual assault at CU. A student attacked in her dorm room and the suspect still on the loose.
We're just urging everybody to do what they can to keep each other safe, keep an eye out for each other.
The innocent bystanders hurt in a police shooting in downtown Denver reacting to the police body camera video showing the whole thing happen.
I definitely think they should take full responsibility and get their stories set straight.
Plus, details behind why the FBI wanted to search former President Trump's home could be coming out later today. Will a judge unseal that information?
We need the affidavit. Show your cards. Merrick Garland can't have it both ways.
And a Colorado mom is making it easier for people of all abilities to find ways to enjoy Colorado's outdoors. CU Boulder police are investigating a report that a student was sexually assaulted in her dorm room, and police say the suspect who's responsible is on the run. This happened last night at the Williams Village North, just days after students started moving in for the semester. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta joins us live. Veronica, what did CU officials have to say this morning?
You know, first of all, students just moved in, or some of them started rather, on Monday. We're talking about 3 days. For those of them who had already started and were sleeping here last night, they went to bed, with plans for what they were going to do today, and they woke up with that alert on their cell phones, letting them know that that sexual assault had happened last night. Of course, the concern is for that victim this morning who had the courage to go to police and tell them what exactly happened. But police telling us that assault happened last night at 10 p.m. They say that suspect walked into the Williams Village North Tower there behind me. He knocked on the victim's door, the victim opened, and then he grabbed her by the neck and sexually assaulted her. We do have a description of that suspect this morning. We know police are telling us that this is a white man that they're looking for. He's roughly college aged. He had dirty blonde hair. We also know that he was wearing a white or a gray shirt with sweatpants. Something to keep in mind this morning is that there's no concierge inside of that residence hall. Students who live here, they have to have their CU Buffs badge to be able to get in and of course live here as well, which is why finding out who this suspect is so important.
We would have to identify the suspect and apprehend the suspect to see if they are a student. So at this point, that's not known. So we're not able to determine if the person had a Buff 1 card to access the building or not.
CU Boulder does have resources and information for victims of sexual assault. A school website says step 1 is getting medical help and evidence collected. It's only after that police are called in, and then of course it's completely up to the victim if they want to talk to police or not. There are also advocate counselors to speak with victims.
We have an embedded victim advocate that can co-respond with officers to traumatic events like this, and in the moment offer assistance and connect a victim to the Office of Victim Assistance.
And we just spoke to parents passing by here who say that their daughter actually just moved in days ago. As you can imagine, they're really concerned by what happened here behind us. They're stopping by, making sure everything's okay with her this morning. But if you know anything about this sexual assault, CUPD is asking you get in contact with them as soon as possible. They really are trying to find the suspect as fast as they can. You can give them a call at 303-492-6666. In Boulder, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Yeah, definitely a scary incident there, Veronica. Thank you. Now, students at CU or any other college campus can download a free safety app. Now, this one is called the Rave Guardian mobile safety app. Now, anytime you go somewhere, you can mark the start of your trip, and your chosen contacts or guardians will get a text showing your location and how long the trip will take. Your guardians will then be notified when you arrive safely. Students can set friends or family members as guardians. New details at 11. One of the teenagers accused of intentionally starting this fire in Green Valley Ranch 2 years ago, killing a family of 5, is going to trial. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford was in court this morning for his appearance. Jessica, walk us through what happened.
Well, Kevin, Bowie walked into the courtroom handcuffed and wearing his green uniform and entered a plea of not guilty. This comes after much speculation that he may have been interested in taking a plea bargain. The charges he's facing are serious ones. He's one of 3 teens accused of killing 5 people in a family last year. Investigators say a fire was set to a house in retaliation for a drug deal gone awry, but it was the wrong house. Bowie, who was 16 at the time, is facing multiple charges, including murder, arson, burglary, and conspiracy, and he is being tried as an adult. That trial is set for December 12th, and they do plan to start picking a jury on December 9th. Now, some reasons why a person might want to plead not guilty in these cases is to give the jury a chance to see that perhaps they weren't involved or may have played a lesser role than the charges that they're receiving may have suggested. Live from Denver, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
Jessica, thank you. Now, Bowie's sister, Tanya Bowie, will spend more than 10 years in prison on drug and gun charges. She was sentenced last month. Officials say she often dealt drugs with her brother and that she might have helped him cover up that Green Valley Ranch house fire. We're hearing from some of the bystanders who were hurt during a police shooting in Lodo last month. They were outside the Larimer Beer Hall when officers responded to a fight. Body camera video shows the moments officers then opened fire on a suspect after he showed a gun. That video shows the suspect throwing his gun to the side and putting his hands up as police shot. 6 bystanders were hurt.
With gunshots going off, or at least that sound, and then getting hit kind of hard by something, I knew that, it was an emergency. I wasn't sure 100% if it was a bullet, but I knew something had happened.
Yeah, I definitely think that police officers were in the wrong in that moment, at that situation. I feel like a lot of steps were missed on the police departments or on the police officers' side.
Now, one of the shooting victims says he has nerve damage in his hand because of the incident. A grand jury will now decide whether the 3 officers involved will be charged. Now, you can find other stories about that shooting up right now on thedenverchannel.com. You can also watch the full body camera video from multiple angles. Some breaking Avs news this morning. ESPN is reporting former Avs center Nazem Kadri is signing a 7-year deal with the Calgary Flames. Now, Kadri is a free agent, and Joe Sakic doesn't have the cap room to sign Kadri to a long-term, big-money deal. And over in the NFL, the league has suspended Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson for 11 games without pay. Dozens of women have accused him of sexual misconduct during his time with the Texans. Watson will also pay a $5 million fine and attend mandatory evaluations and treatment. That suspension increased from 5 games, now up to 11, which is where it will stand. We have a heads up for anyone driving on I-70 today. 2 eastbound lanes are closed between Sheridan and Lowell. You can see some of the backups from this CDOT camera. CDOT has to do some emergency bridge work. Now, Air Tracker 7 flew over the scene this morning. You can see CDOT crews out there checking a pretty giant hole in the road. CDOT hasn't said when those lanes will reopen, but repair work will likely take most of the day. Denver Public Schools are now laying out their plans to put students on the path to success. Its strategic roadmap is called DPS Thrives. It includes things like making sure students learn in safe and welcoming environments and creating an equitable education system. The district also wants to hire and retain high quality and diverse teachers. CIMA's data released yesterday shows most DPS students aren't meeting grade level proficiency. You're now looking live at a federal courthouse in Florida where a judge will consider making an affidavit public. That affidavit was the basis for a search warrant used to raid former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Zareen Shah reports why the Department of Justice is opposed to its release.
This afternoon, the Florida federal judge who approved the search warrant on former President Donald Trump's home will be hearing arguments from opposing sides on whether to unseal the affidavit that led to the raid. The federal judge's decision to authorize the search has been under intense scrutiny, with growing calls from Trump allies to reveal the contents of the affidavit. Media organizations, including ABC, went to court to unseal the document, citing the historic importance of these events. Even Trump has said he wants it released in the interest of transparency. The Justice Department filed its opposition to the release with the court, saying making it public would cause significant and irreparable damage to the current criminal investigation and likely chill future witness cooperation in this, and would likely compromise future aspects of the investigation.
If you release the probable cause affidavit, I'm not sure how they could go forward.
The media organizations have asserted the redactions of sensitive information in the affidavit would address those DOJ concerns. The raid on Trump's home came after a subpoena had been issued to return documents he had removed from the White House. According to the DOJ, a total of 27 boxes were seized from his estate during the search, including 11 sets of the most highly classified information. Several Republicans and other Trump supporters have been expressing outrage against the FBI and DOJ since the search warrant was executed on Trump's home. Some online even threatening to physically harm the federal judge and members of the FBI, prompting former Vice President Mike Pence to say the threats of violence need to end.
And these attacks on the FBI must stop. Calls to defund the FBI are just as wrong as calls to defund the police.
Trump has called on the federal judge hearing the case to recuse himself. He highlighted political donations that he's made to Democrats, but this comes despite the fact that he has also made political donations to Republicans. It's unclear when the judge will make his decision. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Washington.
The former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization pleaded guilty to tax fraud this morning. Alan Weisselberg pleaded guilty to 15 counts, admitting he failed to pay taxes on nearly $2 million of income. He could spend up to 5 months in prison and has been ordered to pay $2 million back taxes and penalties. He's also agreed to testify at the financial crimes trial involving the Trump Organization, which starts in late October. Coming up, everyone likes to spend time in Colorado's outdoors, but not every place is accessible. We're talking to a Colorado woman who's letting people see what outdoor spaces fit their needs. Plus, the Northern Lights are headed south, and you just might see them here in Colorado.